Hey, Beak Squad, good to be with you today. Thanks for joining me. Hey, gotta answer all of your questions in response to yesterday's video about this killer cold that's facing all of the US this weekend. I thought it'd just be easier to address your questions and comments here on a special YouTube video. And by the way, I'll leave that video link in the description below and at the end of this video in case you haven't seen it, but it's all about preparing for this cold snap that may really just flat out hurt our bees. So let's get right into the questions today. It's going to be helpful. My boyfriend and I were literally just talking about getting some foam boards to put around the hives. Nice timing on your great video. Thank you. Foam boards are working good. I mentioned yesterday, I didn't really talk about wrapping the hive because, I feel, you've heard me say this for those of you that follow me, I've spent a lot of years keeping bees in the winter here on the prairie in Illinois. And wrapping has some benefit, but not a lot. And so the big thing for me is getting that top insulation on there. However, I think a windbreak is really a good idea. But with this kind of cold temperature coming in, kind of like the idea of wrapping. If I didn't have so many hives out there, I would wrap them. But I don't have the time or the energy or the motivation to go out there in the cold and wrap my hives. But I do have top insulation, so foam board always helps. Hey, Highland Honeybee, our temps are expected to get 11 below zero Fahrenheit ambient temperature this weekend with a wind chill near 30 below zero. Oh my gosh, our poor bees, what can I say? It's tough, it's really tough. Here's another one from Sneezy Ferret 6482 that says, I put my hive inside an 8x10 shed that has 5 inches of insulation. I hope they'll be okay. It's going to go down to 20 below zero Fahrenheit, wind chills of 31 below Fahrenheit or more this weekend. I'm going to go over, check them this weekend. At least they're out of the wind. I've got that little circular hive outside and I've left it out there all year. They looked like they were weakening in the fall, to be honest with you. I didn't see as many bees flying out of my circular round hive this late summer, early fall. I didn't have time to open it. I didn't really want to open it because I thought it would just disturb it too much. And again, this is a little round hive just for experimental purposes I'm just playing with. But I thought it'd be fun to see how well they would do with minimal intervention from me as far as treating for mites and all that. And so I think I am going to pick it up without looking or anything, going to pick it up and move it back into the chicken coop this winter. Haven't done that yet, but I think they're going to be toast if I leave them out there. So I'm going to go out there and do that. So yeah, putting them inside a building, that little one like that, I've got to do that. They've got to get out of the wind. From Iowa Green 8932, my hives have snow piled on top. Does that help with insulating the top? Wow, I don't know about you, but if I have the choice, this is the way I think, okay? I'm kind of a rational thinker, guys. Okay, David, we have 2 coats available for you to wear outside today. We have a fluffy, nice, foam filled, what do they put in a nice winter coat? We have a nice winter coat for you to put on to stay warm as you go outside, or we're gonna coat you with a blanket of snow, because that will help insulate you too. Which will you pick? You're going to pick the snow to insulate you, or are you going to pick the nice warm coat? I don't know. I'm thinking about not really going with snow. Snow is an insulator. Yes, I understand. I know. Don't leave a comment. Snow does insulate. Yes, I've heard all the northeastern beekeepers talk about how much snow, helps their hives when it gets piled on with snow. I totally agree. And I'm not real fast to go out there and knock off the top of the snow off my hive. Although it will melt and drip down onto the hive, and if your hive isn't sealed off good, it could get into your hive. So it is not the best top insulation by far. No, the R value is not as good as something that's inside your inner cover, like my winter bee kinds I showed you in that video yesterday. That's got that insulation in it and the candy in there. That'd be a little bit better. Oh, Tom Copenhaver, another great video, David. We'll drop below zero and stay there for the next week. Oh, sorry, Tom. Fortunately, we're not looking at any highs of less than 20 below Fahrenheit like we normally do in January. 1/3 of the way through January, time to start getting ready for spring. I know. I've been thinking about spring, Tom. Really. I mean, I'm thinking January. Next month is February. I'll be speaking out at the state conference in Nevada. Looking forward to that. By the way, if you're out in that near Reno, Nevada, you should really sign up for the Nevada State Beekeeping Conference. I think you're allowed to come out there, even though you may be from a different state or something, but check it out. Maybe I'll leave a link right here. I'll try to punch it in here where you could sign up. It'd be good to see you if you want to come out and join me in Nevada in February. But yeah, we're getting closer to spring for sure. So once I get my talks, I've got 3 talks to do in February, 3 or 4 in February. That puts me into March. In March, we're going to have some occasional warm days. And then in April, a lot more warm days. Finally in May, it'll be nice. So spring is on its way. And this weekend is going to make us really look forward more to spring all the more. Good to see you, Tom. Jay Glosser 2014 says, David, great video. Yesterday we had 72-mile-an-hour winds. Gosh, I can't imagine that. That would destroy some of the things I've got out there. I've had 50-mile-an-hour winds recently that have really hurt some things that I have out there. Somebody encouraged me to build some pallets on what are they called? T-stands, or the fence stands, or fence posting, T-posts or whatever. That would not stand. You have to bury things 3 feet down and prop them up with concrete to withstand our winds up here. But okay, so wow, 4 hours of 72-mile-an-hour winds. That is just insane. Jay, I don't know where you live, but it sounds like you're worse than me. Today, temperature drops, snowing and still windy. The hives are still standing, well insulated. Winter bee kind boards on and 50%. Winter is finally here in Western New York. That's where he lives. Cold in New York. Wow. Aron the Viking. Yep, it looks like it will be brutal. Hoping for my seedling heat mat to help my bees survive the crazy cold snap. We need to talk about that. I thought I have some. I've never used them on beehives. I bought them for experiments that I'm going to be doing in the spring. But I'm interested in that. You got 2 thumbs up, but other people saying that's a good question. And I think that's a good question. We have always kind of steered away from trying to warm our hives up because we're afraid that it might actually cause the bees to get a little bit too active in there. But I kind of like the idea because it really doesn't heat up very much, right? Heat will come up. It's not like a big blast of heat or anything. And in my case, I would have to run a long electrical cord out there. The bulk of my hives for my YouTube videos are out of my, quite a ways from my house. I don't have any electricity out there. But now this is not a paid promotion. I repeat, not a paid promotion. I bought this with my own money. The company did not ask me to do anything with this, but I'm going to show you something that's worked well for me, and that's all this is. I'm not promoting it. I will leave a link in my description below. But this is something I take to my bee yard. It's just, it's called a Jackery. A lot of different brands make these. It's like, gosh, it's got everything I want. It's got USB chargers, a cigarette lighter that can charge it or dispense energy. It's got a house plug-in. I was filming yesterday's video when I was out in my hive, and one of my microphone receiver went out, and it was too far away for a plug-in to charge it or anything. Instantly, I powered it from the USB to my mic receiver. Boom, I had power. So if you are working hives far away and you need something like that, these things are great. I told Sherry we need to get a bigger one for the house for big things that go off in the house sometimes. Now, I really want to answer this comment for all of you. I think it's a good question. Good timing video, David. Quick question. Could you make your winter bee kind boards with higher shims so you could double the amount of food and not have to change 4 or 5 during the winter, just maybe twice? Possibly, personally, I use sugar bricks on the top bars with 1.5 inches, shims with honeybee healthy, and that has worked good for me so far. Good luck with the cold snap. Yeah, so our winter bee kinds are about 1.5 inches, I think. And then you have the insulation that kind of takes away from that. So what we do, we put about 4 pounds of sugar and protein in that area. The problem with me putting too much in there, I know a lot of people use thicker sugar and all. We spent years figuring this out, but the thicker you make it, the less likely it is for the bees to be able to consume it in the way that we want them to consume it. We want their moisture to make this much more palatable for them to consume, to not necessarily liquefy it, but I'll use that word. It helps liquefy it. It helps make it edible to the bees. If it's really thick, if it's a hard brick, there's not enough moisture that the hive can create for them to consume that sugar. That's what we found when we try to make them thicker. So it's easier for us to put enough on there where we know that a large hive will produce some moisture to make that something they're going to eat very successfully. But I think that's something that you can certainly, if you're making them yourself, you could experiment with and see. But keep in mind that if you make it too much, if you make it too thick, you're just piling on this big hard brick of sugar. I've seen YouTube videos where people do that and they come out of winter with that brick still there. It's so doggone hard, the bees don't have enough moisture to do anything with it. And if they did, they would just take it outside the hive. We want them to utilize their own moisture to make this something they can consume as food. Great video. My bees are on 4-way pallets. I have contemplated moving them inside the lean-to on my barn. They would be out of the wind at least. Absolutely great idea. Beautiful idea. I wish I had that, because that's right, I would certainly do that. My winds in Illinois are out of the northwest in the wintertime like this, so I would make it open to the south where the sun can shine in there. I would love that so much. It really would help my bees tremendously. The cost keeps me from doing it. The labor, the cost and such. It's a tough one, but if I had that out there now, that would be a winner. This is a good comment that I want to address too. It got 11 thumbs up so far. That means other people want to know the answer. That's why I wanted to make this video to help you guys out, okay? Listen to this. Should you cover up vents in the hive with the cold snap? So in other words, what vents do you have on your hive? I don't know what those are. You obviously have a bottom board entrance. That's pretty far away from where the colony is. The colony is going to be in the center of your hive, but it could help to reduce the entrance. Obviously, I've made videos about that. Other vents in your hive come to mind would be, some people do drill holes in the side of their hive for better ventilation in the summertime. Yeah, I would plug those. Now, a winter bee kind vent at the top, like I showed you in yesterday's video, which I'll leave a link in the description below about cold snap going to hurt your bees. I've got a video just for that in case you missed it. But listen, if you block the winter bee kind vent hole, you're going to lose out the opportunity on better days where bees can actually take cleansing flights where normally they wouldn't. So I don't like to block that upper vent on my winter bee kinds. Like I said, it's not really a ventilation technique. It's more of just getting rid of stale air and allowing the bees to take cleansing flights when they need it. If you do it correctly and use one of my winter bee kinds, the vent hole is covered up by the telescoping top cover, except there's a small gap where bees can go in and out. So it's not really what you would think is excessive ventilation at the top. But yeah, you don't want cold wind blowing in vent holes in your hive. I would not want that. Listen to these temperatures. This is insane. Roxanne Weaver, 2155, says we are headed to 26 below, I assume Fahrenheit, without wind chill over the next couple of days in Wyoming. My hive is wrapped with 4 layers of wool canvas wrapped over the hive area, about 10 combs with follower board preventing access to other empty end. Must be like a top bar hive or a Langstroth horizontal hive must be what they have. Let's see, left in a comb, added 2 fondant slabs. They seem to be doing very well. When I walked away in October, we'll check them on the first possible day and feed them again if they need it. They were treated for mites in September or October, so hopefully they'll be okay in the area. One entry open top bar hive. Okay, so it's top bar hive, fingers crossed. Yeah, that's right. That's a tough part for me to wrap my head around, overwintering horizontal hives. It really is. I'm not saying I'm against it or I don't think it can be successful. I just know the biology of bees in trees, their natural habitat. And the colony moves up in a tree with the comb going this way. They can go between the comb and just go up into the heat and into the honey. But in a horizontal hive, they have to travel. They can't go through frames, right? So they have to travel down usually, especially top bars. They have to travel down below their frames to move that way or this way. So I don't understand that ability for bees to do that on very cold days. They're going to just get locked in there. I don't know. I'm experimenting with my horizontal Langstroth hive, but boy, it's going to be tough trying to move that way, sideways. All right, let's go on and putting my 3 hives in the garage with the chickens. They have a heater They're pampered egg layers. Yeah, I know what you mean. And you have the risk of being too warm and your bees will get too active and they may want to fly. And if you don't have a way for them to fly directly out of the building, they're going to get trapped in the building and die, or they'll eat through all their stored resources because they're warmer. That's a good thing to ponder and decide if you really want to do that. And you kind of get a middle ground there. Like, how do I get the windbreak out of that building, but not get my bees too warm that they eat all their stored resources and they want to fly? Here's a comment from Brian Bennett, 4374. Brian, good to meet you at the conference. Great video, David. Thank you, David and Sherry. See you tomorrow night. That's tonight, by the way. Live stream is tonight at 7 o'clock. It's 59 minutes of the most beekeeping fun you can tolerate. And we're all about having a heart and a love and an enjoyment for each other. A lot of loneliness in our world today. A lot of people are lonely. Don't be lonely. Just come to the live stream and chat with me tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll have a great time together. This is from Megan Jones, 5833. Hey, David, getting my bees. First time beekeeper. Wow. And in April, and I live in New Lenox, Illinois. I am from Normal, Illinois, so I'm not sure where you are in Central Illinois. But anyway, I'm scared about the temps before I even have my bees. Chicago winters are no joke. Hope I am not too hopeful. I thank you so much for making the video. You're such a great teacher. I appreciate every video that you make. Helps me a lot. Wish me luck and say a prayer. You know what? I understand, Megan. I go to Chicago and it's a windy city, right? I freeze to death there. I don't care how many coats I put on it. I walk between buildings. I'm just dying. And in Chicago, it's windy up by the lake and all. Oh my gosh. So it's hard on bees, no doubt. But I'm glad you're getting started next year. You do the best you can. And if our bees perish, beekeepers, if they perish this winter, look, we gained a lot of knowledge. We learned a lot. We're in it. We have the equipment. We've already invested in the expense of it. Got to get another package or a nucleus, start over, keep going. You got drawn comb to give them a boost, maybe some honey for next year. You apply what you've learned this year to be a better beekeeper next year and hopefully have better success, okay? Don't throw in the towel. We all lose hives. My point is, even great beekeepers lose their bees. It doesn't mean you're a bad beekeeper. It means there's a lot going on with chemicals and pesticides, even farm chemicals that can kill our bees, cold, brutal winds, poor queens. You know what I mean? Best of beekeepers are going to lose bees. It doesn't make you a bad beekeeper, all right? You just start up, you find a way to keep going. Willie Maykit, 7940, says, my colony absconded and I found a much reduced population weeks later. They're in a nuke now. I'm going to staple a piece of screen wire over the entrance and move them into the garage. Well, doesn't sound like they absconded. Sounds like they swarmed. Abscond means they all just left. Sounds like you still got some bees in there, so maybe it sounds like a swarm. I don't know. But stapling something over the entrance, moving them into the garage, that will buy you time. I get it. I've done that before too. If I didn't have so many hives here, I would move them in. I've got big buildings that I could easily move them into. Number one, they're too heavy. Number two, I don't have that much time and equipment to do that. It's just too time consuming. But I like the idea. If you had 1 or 2 hives, people, and you got a way to kind of move them into a garage, good idea. Let me give you some warnings though. Number one, you have the potential. You want to keep the hive together. So you're going to have to get some strips of wood that I've made videos about and staple it onto where the joints around your hives are. Just like if the 2 joints are here, get a strip of wood and just screw it or staple it so it holds on both sides. It holds your boxes, keeps your boxes from going, falling apart and bees going everywhere. You got to make that one solid hive so you can transport it. Moving it is terrible unless you have really good equipment. 300 pounds of bees and equipment and honey in there. Brutal, backbreaking. Oh, it's horrible. So if it wasn't for those reasons, I like the idea of just putting them temporarily during a real cold snap in a building. It's the way of sheltering them. But I think we can find different ways to add a wind block, which is easier than moving the hive. Which brings us to the next question, Hannah's Bees. Great video, David. What's your advice on a good wind block when you're in a pinch, like a 2-day to get prepped pinched? Yeah, I understand. I've got several trees behind my hives. Is that a good enough natural wind block, or what's your suggestion? So let's talk about wind block. I can't think of the perfect wind block that's easy to build or inexpensive and can withstand my kind of winds. It's just no way around it. Literally, I have to concrete large posts in the ground 3 feet down so they can withstand anything that's going to be hit with 50-mile-an-hour winds this winter. That's very expensive to do. And so that's hard for me to shell out that kind of money. It's better for me personally just to take the losses and make some splits next year and make up for it. I'm sorry, I just can't. In our other apiaries where we raise our nukes, for example, a lot of tree shelter there. So we don't really have to worry about wind blocks. They are surrounded by, they're in the middle of a large grove of trees. So, you know, I don't know. It's a tough thing to really deal with. If you have one hive or two hives, then you could easily build something with, like I said, T-post, drop pallets down onto the T-post, and prop them up with some, I guess, some other posts where if they're going to be pushed to the south, you could make another post keeping it from falling over. It's just going to be 50-mile-an-hour winds can knock down everything you think is going to withstand that wind. It's terrible. So I don't have a really good idea. I've shared some concepts that I've used. I made a whole live stream, and I showed you on one of my recent live streams all the different ways that I built wind blocks. So if you can drop back and look at my live streams, I have talked about that. I've just created so many different ways to do it. And watch those live. I'll leave a link in the description below. Wind block live stream. Look for that. Yeah. Here's an interesting comment. I always tilt hives forward so water drips on sides, not on bees. So interesting concept. The idea, Reverend Langstroth in his book said he tilted his hives like this toward the front. So moisture that developed would run down and drip out of the hive. He also staggered the openings sometimes on his boxes so there'd be an opening gap for ventilation. And it would rain inside his hives in Ohio, and he wanted that rainwater to run out. I can't bring myself to do that. That's a lot of ventilation. But anyway, I understand, but here's the thing. If you've got that much moisture in your hive, let's find a different way to get rid of that moisture rather than tilting the hive to get rid of it, right? Because some of it's going to drip on your bees. Candy board on top, let that candy board absorb that excess moisture. I understand. What kind of insulation do you use, Willie Sams? Well, again, I've tried all kind. Millions of years ago, I started out using black roofing paper, and it's a kind of a wind block around the hive. I've got videos on that. I've got a ton of videos recently where I use bad insulation and just staple it around my hives. But again, wrapping my hives isn't really that much of a winner for me. W-I-N-N-E-R. It doesn't win much. Top insulation actually wins a lot more, for sure. Video is a game changer. Thank you. I appreciate that. Great video response yesterday. I appreciate it, guys, so much. Yeah. Listen to this. Hi, David. Good video. I, too, am worried about the cold. I have bee cozies on all my hives and the candy winter bee kind on top. My hives have brood. They never shut down because they have this candy with the ultra bee pollen. I think the reference is there. They have that pollen in there, and they eat a lot. Yeah, my hives are eating a lot. But mine are like 10 pounds and insulation on top. Any moisture goes into the candy, there's nothing I can do more for my bees. You've done it. I mean, you nailed it. Moisture being absorbed in your candy, lots of food on top, lots of insulation on top. I like your videos. I listen to what you do and look at what I do. And as you talk, I say, I've done that. I did that. I did that. I did that. Now it's time just for the bees. Is up to them now. Good, good. Hope you have a blessed weekend. Looking forward to the next video. Say hi to Sherry for me. Yeah, I appreciate the comments a lot. Thank you for your love and support. And you're right. You've done everything you can. Bees can still die of a lot of things, even though we've done the right winter measures. You know what I mean? They can still die of viruses. They can still die of pathogens. They can still die of low populations, even though they have plenty of food. We've babied them. We've pampered them. It's not really your fault. I mean, we have animals, right? Dogs and cats that we pamper, take to the vet, get all their shots, they take medicine, still die. So we do the best we can. Don't beat yourself up. Oh, by the way, it's I think today it's going to get up to about 30. Let me see what the temperature is. 36 degrees. It's warm enough for me to bike today, believe it or not. Anytime it's over 32 degrees, I'm going to go cycling. And I'm not looking forward to it because it's windy, but I know what's coming. I won't be biking during that cold snap. So right after this video, I'm hitting the bike for about 20 or 30 miles out there. And my toes and hands are going to be cold. Oh, wow. I'm looking forward to it though. Will's 200. I'm in New Jersey and our temps have stayed about 20 for the most part. I leave my bottom board slid open about 2 inches once it cools down. Should I slide it shut for the next month or so? Okay, bottom board entrance. What should you do? I like to make, I don't feel that I need to make it the smallest entrance because I want bees to be able to carry out dead sisters on warmer winter days. So I like to leave it that wider entrance that is probably 4 inches, I guess. And that way it can help get rid of the dead bees. But remember, bottom board entrances really isn't where we're going to win. It's going to be in resources of food above the colony and also the top insulation. That's where we're going to win. Oh, Dale says, I really enjoyed talking with you at the conference. It was a great time. I'm just west of you outside of St. Louis. Question for you. Do you completely close off your bottom entrance in the winter or use the upper entrance provided by the winter bee kind ventilation? I'm running solid boards. Thank you for your efforts, knowledge you share. I love your videos. Thank you. Yeah, same as the last question. I sometimes do close off the bottom with insulation. I just wrap my hives with insulation. But since I really don't insulate my hives that much, the bottom board does have a slight opening to it. I do reduce it, but I let my bees go in and out from the top. They will naturally anyway, because they don't want to go all the way down away from the top cluster through sometimes empty comb over their dead sisters and fly out the bottom. It's more easier to be eating the food, take a quick cleansing flight, come back in. Two Hives Homestead says, would giving a fondant patty and a portion of a pollen patty do a similar thing as the winter bee kind board? Feeding bees is feeding bees. I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. Yeah, give it a try. Bees have to eat something to stay warm. They're just like us. The more they eat, the more they can do, the more they can stay operating their muscles because they have carbohydrates and protein to work the muscles. And just a little bit, when I go cycling, I've already eaten good carbs because I'm going to be burning through a lot of energy biking today. So I have to eat a lot of carbohydrates to get ready for that. I've got a lot of hills to climb. And so I need protein. I eat protein when I get back to help rebuild my leg muscles. And so bees are the same way. They're going to operate those muscles to operate those, to stay warm. So if we can feed them, they're going to stay warm easier because they have that energy to do it. Bill Meek 4777 says, yeah, come to Canada. Then you'll know what we have to put up with every year. I get it. I hate that I live in Illinois. The climate is so cold here. I was raised in Tennessee in a warmer climate. So I understand I can't imagine what it's like in Canada. I don't know. It just must be horrible. So hats off to you Canadian beekeepers that can pull it off. Yikes. Those are some good comments. And like I said, I'm so happy that you were able to watch that video about getting ready for this cold snap. Thanks guys for the support of that video. If you didn't get a chance to see it, I gave some great tips. We talked about it. I showed you how to make winter bee kinds. Here's the video right here. Love for you to watch it if you haven't yet. I'll see you over there.